Welcome everyone back to the channel. I have a special guest with me, which is my fabulous girlfriend, Samantha. And we are excited to talk about some topics with you guys, so let's get right into it. So I'm going to share the story of kind of what led us to this kind of like video. And basically it had to do with our barbecue, and kind of what happened is that I show up and she'll send me up the details of like at least being there by 12:30, 12:45. I said, that's fine, I'll be there. And it's kind of good for me because I was coming out of my place and I was like, yeah, I need that extra time to get ready. But once I get there, things weren't set up the way I expected, so that was my expectation. And basically, food wasn't ready and the barbecue was barely getting set up, and I waited at least an hour and 10 minutes. But I kind of shut down in that moment. But before I get into that, I want to say that I have an awesome girlfriend that was able to set things up for me and really be encouraging. But I didn't see that at that moment because of the way things were starting out for the day. I was cool with waiting an extra 20 minutes or 30 minutes max. But the hangry, like it was hitting me, like I wanted something to eat, but at the same time, me waiting and that expectation of like it needed to be done came in. And that kind of threw off the day because I shut down. But that's kind of what happened, and we want to share a few things along the way of the details that my girlfriend will share on her side of what happened. So I'm going to pass it over to Samantha to share her side of it.
So from my side, I had planned this date with a friend, and we were running behind schedule the day of. And that's why we had to ask for the 12 o'clock date to be pushed to 12:30, 12:45. And I was just freaking out. I was going crazy. I was like, nothing is prepared. I just finished the vegan mac and cheese, but I didn't realize there were so many other things that I had to prepare. Just poor planning. And so I noticed that Peter was like not in the zone. He was kind of like really quiet, and if I would try and make conversation with him, he was very cold. And so I was like, yeah, he's not in a good mood right now. So I think just not being able to talk to him during lunch because he was so like standoffish, that kind of discouraged me. I already was feeling with, the insecurity of like, I'm not good enough. This is something that I've dealt with, in my just growing up, but like, in that moment, it popped up and I was like, dang, like I really wanted to be encouraging to him, but he was not encouraged at all. And so I was feeling like, I'm just not good enough, he's not happy, and I'm just not happy right now. I don't know what to do.
And with all that happening, something that I can share with you guys, for me as a guy from the man's side, is definitely I wish I communicated sooner. Shutting down was not the best thing to do. Just to share really quickly, I was raised and I saw this pattern with my father, and it was very easy for me to mimic that. And I actually grew up with my household yelling at each other and doing all those things, and I did not want to continue that pattern in my relationship. And definitely shutting down was my other alternative, but obviously what I could have done is communicate how frustrated I was and waiting, but I didn't do that. Instead, I shut down. That is not the best thing to do. And my advice is just to communicate as soon as you can in that situation. Don't wait any longer because that's going to create more issues.
So I tried to squash it. I tried addressing it as soon as possible because where I come from growing up, the way we dealt with problems was we kind of just, something would happen, we stay away from each other, we don't talk about it, we push it under the rug, and enough time passes by and everything's okay. But I was like, I do not want to bring that into my relationship because it's not healthy. Like, we need to communicate with one another. So I was like, I need to talk about this. We talked about it, and it didn't go so well. I expressed what I was feeling. I said, I feel like I'm not doing good enough, and I was trying really hard to encourage you, but it just wasn't enough. And so he kind of was just really cold, and I was like, yeah, like, I tried to resolve it, it didn't happen, it didn't work out. I was even more discouraged after that.
So the other thing I can say is don't make it about yourself. Definitely when I shut down, I wasn't considering all the effort she put into making everything, especially with the barbecue and the setup. And so one thing I can say for me personally is to analyze how I went about that, right? Like the first step I was saying is to communicate my frustration, but the other thing is be in her shoes, what she has to set up, and going through that whole process. But because I was so self-focused on like, man, I'm the victim, like I should get my apology, that I lost focus of thinking like, I wonder how my girlfriend feels, I wonder how she feels about what's going on. And this is applicable to even your friendships or your partnerships or anything that's outside. But that's where I dropped the ball by just being like, oh, it's me, I'm the victim. But no, it's something between both of us, and that's something that I look back on that I want to continue to grow in.
And going off of what Peter said, don't make it about yourself. I think it's important to have a heart that is willing to understand what the other person is going through, because that then creates like a safe place to feel vulnerable with this person, and that's what's needed in relationships, like effective, like healthy relationships. You need vulnerability. You need to feel safe talking about what you're experiencing so that you can overcome the conflict. Because the goal is not to be right, the goal is to resolve. But that is our lesson that we learned when resolving our conflict. Conflict resolution! Don't wait to communicate. Express yourself vulnerably.
And do not forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, guys, we love you a lot. Thank you for checking us out.
Bye.
Take care.